Alright, so in this lecture, let's go into probability. So we discussed descriptive statistics, which is summary of data, and the introduction there in the last module. So in this module, let's start with probability. So this is the lecture outline. So first we'll discuss the introduction to probability, then sample space and events, mutually exclusive events, union and intersection, joint probability, complementary events, conditional probability, multiplication law of probability, independent events, dependent events, addition law, marginal probability, sensitivity and specificity, Bayes law, and Bayesian interference. So for this lecture, let's try to focus until multiplication law of probability. So and then we'll continue on to the next lecture. So I'll discuss the rest of the lecture. So this part will be discussed on the second part of the lecture. Now, so let's start with the introduction. So what is the theory of probability is the foundation for statistical inference. So to understand how to infer data or how to infer decisions from a particular data, probability is really important. So the concept of probability is something not foreign to health workers, because we generally use this in everyday communication as well. For example, a physician, when he says that a patient has a 50-50 chance of surviving a certain operation, he means that there is a chance, the probability of him dying is 50% and the probability of him living is 50%. In the same way, a physician, if he says that she is 95% certain that a patient has a particular disease, let's say you go to the doctor with a certain set of symptoms, and if all of them turn out to be nearly close to resemble the original disease, then they will say that it is 95% certain that the patient has that particular disease which the doctor thinks you have the symptoms towards. In the same way, a public health nurse may say that 9 times out of 10 a certain client will break an appointment. So this is an example where you say 9 out of 10 times, so 9, 10. Notice that all these values are generally written in the form of either a ratio in the first one, either a percentage in the second one, or either a fraction in the third one. All of these are things that represent probability. So these are the common ways we express probability. So in dealing with probabilities mathematically, so it's easier to represent them as fractions. So thus we measure the probability of occurrence of any event between 0 and 1. So this is the common sense here. Between 0 and 1 represents that if something has to occur, the probability that it will not occur for sure is 0. The probability that will occur for sure is 1. So the more likely the event, the more closer the probability is to 1, and the more unlikely the event, the closer the value is to 0. So an event that cannot occur has a probability of 0, and an event that's certain to occur has a probability of 1. So this is the idea behind the topic of probability. Next, let's start with sample space. So what is sample space? So sample space is the set of all possible outcomes. For example, let's say you throw a coin in the air and you expect what are the common, what are the possible outcomes that you can get. So you can get a head or a tail. So the set of events that contains both the events that can occur is called as the sample space. So the sample space is basically the set of events that holds all the possible events in a given event, right? So here there are only two possible outcomes. In the same way, when you say you want to throw a dice has 6 outcomes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and there are 6 possible outcomes here. So the sample space contains 6 events. In the same way, if you take drawing cards contains 52 possible outcomes. From you have 2 to 9, 2 to 10, and you have the ace, the joker, king and the queen, and you have 4 sets of these. So that gives you a total of 52 cards. So there are 52 different possible outcomes. So yes is basically sample space is the set of all the possible outcomes that are possible in any given event. This brings us to the question, what is an event? An event is basically a subset of a sample space. For example, let's say you're throwing a coin in the air and you expect that you want it to be heads, right? You thinking about having heads is an event, or the other person having to think that it should not be a head can also be an event, or the other person thinking that it should be a tail is also an event. So an event is a subset of the sample space. So in referring to the probabilities of these events, so an event in any set of outcome of interest, so is basically any set of outcomes of interest. Remember this part. So it's a set of outcome of interest, meaning that it's the only outcomes that you want out of the total outcomes that are possible. For example, let's say you throw a dice and your set of outcome of interest is 6 and all the possible outcomes are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the event that you want is the set of outcomes that you want is the event, and all the possible ones are the sample space. So we use a shorthand notation of parentheses of love brackets to represent the event. So we call this the event. So the probability of any event must always be between 0 and 1 and cannot be less than 0 and cannot be greater than 1. So this is the main rule of probability. So this is the main rule of probability. So the probability of any event should always be between 0 and 1. Now, so let's define probability by itself. So the probability is the relative frequency of the set of outcomes over an indefinitely large number of trials. So to simplify the definition, the probability of an event is the total number of outcomes that you get, the possible, the total number of favorable outcomes by the total number of outcomes. So the number of favorable outcomes over the number of all possible outcomes of an event. So whenever was, for example, let's take a simple example. Let's say you're throwing a coin in the air and you have to find, so for example, let's say you want to find the probability of heads. So the formula is the number of all possible outcomes. So the number of the favorable outcomes is n of e by n of s. So we know the sample space contains two events, head and tail, and out of this the event that you want, you should only contain head. So calculate the number of each event. So whenever you see the term n of e, it basically represents the number of individual values in one of them. So n of e is 1 here, n of s is 2. So when you substitute, you get 1 by 2. So this, the probability of head here can be written as 1 over 2. So this is an example of probability. Let's take as another example of dice. Let's say you're throwing a dice and let's say you want to find the probability that you get probability of 6. Now the total number of outcomes is yes, can be written as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. But the event that you want is only 6. So n of e here is 1 and n of s is 6. So probability of having a 6 here is 1 by 6. Let's take another example. Let's say if you are throwing a dice and I want only even numbers. So I am finding the probability of even numbers. So again, so we are using a dice here. So the sample space contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In this, the event that you want should only contain even numbers. So there are 3 even numbers, 2, 4 and 6. So we can write n of e here is 3 and n of s is 6. So it becomes n of e by n of s. It becomes 3 over 6. So that becomes 1 over 2. So there is a 1 out of 2 chance that you get an even number when you throw a dice. So every 2 times you throw, there is 1 chance that there is a probability of having an even number. So this is the idea behind probability. So the probability is the number of favorable outcomes of interest by the number of all possible outcomes of the event. Right. So let's take another example here. So here they are asking you the primary aim. So you don't need to read the entire thing. So here they have given you a table. And they are asking you to use this table and solve this problem. They are asking you to find what is the probability that a person will be 18 years or younger. So they are asking you to find whether the person will be for 18 years or younger. So let me copy this. So probability of 18 years or younger. So in this data table, they have given you a frequency table. So the frequency of family group of mood disorder by age group. So this the first group is early. Early is 18 or younger. Later is 18 or older. Right. So here they are asking you to find this event E. So they are asking you to find the probability of the event E. Now the idea here, remember that the total number of people, so the number of samples in the event by the number of total samples. So the number of samples in the event are the total number of people who are younger. So here 18E, they have 28, 19, 41 and 53. So all of these combined you get a value of 141. So the total number of people who are early aged are 141. So you can write 141 over what is the total number? Total number is the final number that you get when you add up every number, every possible level. Notice that there are two events specifically that we are focusing on, E and L, and we are trying to find E bit probability of E. So combining E and L, we get 318. So that is 318. So the probability of the event is 141 by 380. So this is how you can find the probability of any given value. Next, so there are two types of events that we're going to talk about. So the first one is a mutually exclusive event. So when you have two events, let's say A and B, when can we say that they are mutually exclusive or disjoint? Is only when their intersection values is 5. What does that mean? So for example, let's say I have two sets of data. A is 1, 2 and 3 and B is 4, 5 and 6. So whenever you write A intersection B, so this symbol represents intersection. So intersection meaning that what are the common values in both of them. Notice that if you take these two values, there is no common values. So which means that's an empty set. So this is also called a null set, phi. So phi represents that it's a null set, meaning that it does not contain any values. So if you have two sets in such a way that A intersection B is a null set, then A and B are called mutually exclusive events. So A and B are called mutually exclusive events. So only when you have A and B that end up having a null set, only then we can say that A and B are mutually exclusive events. So one way of noting down this is, if there are two events A and B that are mutually exclusive, they cannot both happen at the same time. So for example, let's say if you are throwing a dice. So throwing a dice, then if you take two probabilities, the probability of an even number and the probability of an odd number. So both of them cannot happen at the same time, because the event here where the set of even numbers here is 2, 4 and 6, the number of odd numbers here is 1, 2 and 3. But I can take another number. Let's say I want to find, let's say there are two events A. So A represents a even number and B represents prime numbers. So if you take the set of numbers in A, you get 2, 4 and 6. But if you take prime numbers are 1, 2, 3 and 5. Now notice the common element in both of them. So let's not take one. One is an element that's neither composite nor prime. So 2, 3 and 5. So which means here you have a common element 2. So here A intersection B is the set value 2. So which means that here A and B are not mutually exclusive. So when can a number be mutually exclusive? So A and B are mutually exclusive when the probability of A intersection B is 0 or A intersection B is 5. Right, so the probability of having the intersection value is 0, and or the probability of the intersection of the sets gives you a null set. There is one another method when we can do this. If you have probability of A union B, Remember, this U represents union. Union in simple terms is combination without repetition. For example, let's say A is the set of 1, 2 and 3 and B is the set of 4, 5 and 6. A union B represents the set of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So it basically combines everything. Think of this as an addition version. So union also represents addition. So there is one other method of representing sets. That method is called the Venn diagram method. So how do we use the Venn diagram method? Let's say if you have two sets A and B. So let's say if they are intersecting with each other. So let's say these two sets are intersecting with each other. Then this region, so this region in red, right, represents A intersection B. So what the common part between A and B is A intersection B. So what does A union B mean? So A union B is, let's say if you have two intersection sets again. So if you take this set, the entire set that consists of both A and B, right, so this entire part represents A union B, meaning that we are taking everything that combines both A and B and writing it as a single part. But notice that both of them have a significant intersection part. So what we will do here is we will only consider one part of the intersection or not consider the other part of the intersection. So what would it be? What would it look like if you split it? If you look at it actually, is we would actually take only one part of this. So this part is separate. So this part is separate and this part is separate. So this is how you use A union B. So this is the idea behind the topic of intersection and union. When would you get a null set when you have intersection? Is when you have two sets A and B, and here A union B, A intersection B here does not have anything, so where they do not coincide at all, we say those are generally examples of where you don't see the combination. So those combination elements, these are called, here A and B are called mutually exclusive events, where they do not have anything in common with each other, right? So let's take a simple example of this. So let's say we have an example where you have, let A be the event where a person has normotensive diastolic blood pressure of DBP less than 90, and B be the event where the person has borderline DBP, which is 90 less than or equal to DBP less than 95, and they have given you the two probabilities. Probability of A is 0.7, probability of B is 0.1. Now what is this? Let's say Z be the event where the person has DBP less than 95. So to understand this, let's take a simple number line and consider the values that they have given here. So first one is DBP less than 90. So let's say for example this is the value 90 and this is the value 95. So if you take the actual values, then this entire part from the start here, so this entire part until 90, notice that it's not actually exactly 90, it's less than 90. So whenever you see less than but not see less than or equal to, it means that it does not include the value. So meaning that it does not include 90. So what do we do here is, this is the event A. The second event it takes in 90 until 95. This is the event B. Now if you look at both events, are they intersecting here? Notice that there is no intersection because one ends before 90, one ends at 90, one starts at 90. So which means these A and B are mutually exclusive. What are they asking you now is they are asking you for the Z to be an event that has a person has DBP less than 95. So what they are saying is Z is a person who has any value less than 95. So this means that it includes everything here. So it includes everything here. So when you write probability of Z here, it represents that it's combining both A and B. So we can write it as probability of A plus probability of B. So in the example, in the problem, it's given that probability of A is 0.7 and probability of B is 0.1. So this value is 0.7 and this value is 0.1. So when you want to find everything less than 95, then it will become 0.7 plus 0.1. So this becomes 0.8. So use this formula of combination only when they are mutually exclusive events. So if they are not mutually exclusive, do not use this formula. Right? So let's take another the second example. Let X be the diastolic blood pressure and they are asking you for C is the event where X is greater than or equal to 90 and D be the event where you have 75 to 100. So let's try the example again. Let's say this is the number line and on this you have write down the values that they have given 75, 90 and 100. So let's say this value is 75, 90 and now 100. So C is the event where X is greater than or equal to 90, which means that it includes any value that's greater than 90. So this is the entire part of the event C. Next, D is the event which is between 75 to 100. This is the value 75 and they are asking until 100. And notice this is the intersection part. If there is an intersection, so if there is an intersection, this intersection here represents C intersection D. So this C intersection D value starts at 90 and it goes until 100. So we can write that C intersection D here represents 90 less than or equal to X less than or equal to 100. So the values given are C is X greater than or equal to 90, D is 75 less than or equal to X less than or equal to 100. But there is a C intersection D value and that value is not 0, right? It's not equal to 5, which means that C and D are not mutually exclusive. So notice that C and D here are not mutually exclusive. So if they are mutually exclusive, then we could have written the C union D value, but C and D are not mutually exclusive, so therefore you have an intersection. That intersection here represents the value between 90 and 100. So this is how you know the difference here. So let's talk about interunion. So we already talked about union before. So union here represents that whenever you have two events A and B, we write it as A union B. And the event, so it is the event that contains all the elements belonging to A or B or both. So A union B is also written as A or B. So both of them mean the same, right? But they generally have the interpretation that we use here. So there are two cases in union. When you have two events that are mutually exclusive, where you have A union B, where A is separate from B. A union B that cannot be mutually inclusive, where they have an intersection region. So this here is the difference between A and B being mutually exclusive and A and B being mutually not exclusive. So let's take the same example again of A and B here. So A here is X less than 90 and B is 90 to 95. So let's use the same example as before. So let me draw a number line. So you have 90 and you have 95. So 90 and you have 95. So the idea here is to look for two events. So the first one is given as A is the set of events where x is less than 90, and B is the set of events where it's between 90 less than or equal to x less than 95. Notice that whenever you see less than 90, it does not include the exact value itself. So now how to draw the values? So let me draw first A. So we do not include the value 90, but we include anything less than 90. The next value is 90 and 95 combined. So next one will be where it takes into consideration the value 90, and it also takes into consideration above 90 until the value 95, but remember again it does not include 95 here. So now this is the event A here, and this is the event B. Now let's say we want to find A union B. What does the A union B represent? A union B here is the representation of both the events. So when you combine, A union B is the entire section. So the one in black represents the entire section. So here it includes less than 90, but it also includes 90 to 95. So when you include both of them, and when you write it, A union B here represents the set of x less than 95. Notice that this is the limit now. So this is the limit to the left. So x less than 95 is A union B. So try the same example, let's say with the other two values. So you have C and D. So C is the set of values where x is greater than or equal to 90, and D is 75 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 100. So try the same method now. If you don't remember, we did this problem before, so this is the same problem before. So try, so you have C and D here already. They want to find C union D now. How do you find C union D? C union D includes both C and D. So from here, everything towards the right side. So remember, when you go to the left, we are talking about the values that are less than. When you are going to the right, you are talking about the values greater than. But here we are also including 75 as well. So it becomes the set of x greater than or equal to 75. So this is C union D here. So intersection D is 5. So it's not 5 because it includes 90 to 100. So set of 90 to 100. But C union D is x greater than or equal to 75. So this is how we can determine the values. So that's the difference between intersection, the values that we have here. Now let's take another example here. So I'm not going to discuss the intersection again because we discussed this already. So let's use this problem here, the problem that we already discussed. And here they are asking you the question, what is the probability that person picked at random from the 318 subjects will be early and will be a person who has no family, no mood disorders. So let's take the same data again. There is the data that we have. So they are asking you for two events. Notice that the person has to be early and no mood disorders, no family history of mood disorders. So in this data, early is the event E and negative is EA. They are asking you for the exact intersection. So what are the values? What is the value that intersects both these values? So that value is 28. So when you want to write the event, we write it as probability of early intersection negative disorders. So this represents 28 by 318. In the same way, for example, let's say I wanted to find out the probability of later and unipolar. So you are finding probability of L intersection U. So L intersection C here. So C represents the unipolar. So look for the intersection values between L and C. So this is L here and C here is here. So this is the value. So that value is 44. So 44 divided by the total number again. Always use the total number when you have intersection. Let's try another example. Let's say I want to find now E or let's try another example. Sorry, probability of early and bipolar. Remember that union represents or, intersection represents and. So it can be union is A or B, intersection is A and B combined together. So early and bipolar. So now let's try to find the value. Early and bipolar, you have early, so which is E here, and bipolar, which is B here. So this value is 19. So 19 divided by the total number again 318. So we would have written it as early intersection bipolar B is 19 by 318. What would you do in this problem when it is given as union? So what would you, let's take the same example here. Let's say in this case we are trying to find the probability of early or bipolar. So we are finding probability of early union bipolar. So when you want to find this, this is the question that we want to ask. So this uses a law called the addition law of probability. So it will be discussing in the later part of the course. For now I am not going to solve this problem, but just know that we can do this, and this is another, we have to use another law for that. So now, so this is the example here that we can use to explain intersection. So try this problem. So this is similar to the one that we did right now. So every value is given there. So try to use the idea from the last problem and try to do this problem for now. Remember to draw the diagram as I did here so that it will be easier to understand the problem. So pause the video right here and try to solve this problem. So another example to think about intersection is that let's say you have an event E where the person selected at random is a classroom, in a classroom is majoring in engineering, and let F be the event where the person is female. So whenever you write E intersection F, it means it's a female engineering student. So we are looking for all the female engineering students. So that's the difference between the topic of joint probability and intersection. So that's the difference between joint probability and the union. So whenever you are comparing union and joint probability, remember the difference. Union represents or, so either or, can be or cannot be. So if it is either A or B. But when you write intersection, both of them have to happen at the same exact time. So remember that both events have to be true at the exact same time for the given event. So only then we can say that that is a intersection, right? So one specific rule again I want to reiterate is that when you do this for A and B that are mutually exclusive, right? So A intersection B is 5 and the probability of A intersection B is 0. So there is nothing that can happen. So if A and B are mutually exclusive, both cannot happen at the same time. So that's the idea behind mutually exclusive and non-mutually exclusive events. So next let's talk about complementary events. So what are complementary events? For example, if A is an event, so if A, for example, A represents a particular event will occur. So A bar represents the complementary event. For example, let's say if you are considering A as the event where you get a head, then A bar represents the event tail. So, or more systematically, A bar represents not head. In the same way, if you consider A is the event where you get a number 6, A bar is the event that represents the probability of not 6. So everything opposite to the event is complementary event. So if you consider a single diagram that represents the total sample space and A is the event, everything outside A represents A bar, and the rule in probability is that P of A plus P of A bar is always equal to 1. So from this we can write P of A bar as 1 minus P of A. So sometimes when you cannot calculate the probability of a certain event, we can calculate the probability that it will not occur, so that it makes it easier to understand how much will be the probability that it will occur. So this is the idea behind the complementary events. So when you have event A, and when you have event A which says that x is less than 90, everything above and greater than or equal to 90 represents the A bar event here. So if you consider this is a line, so if this is 90 and everything before represents A here, then everything after it that does not include A represents A bar. So this is the idea behind the complementary events. So in the same way, for example, suppose there are 1200 admissions to a general hospital during a certain period and 750 are private admissions. So for example, let's designate those private admissions as A. Then A bar will be equal to the difference between the total minus the A value. So that becomes 450. So probability of A private admissions is 0.625. Probability of A bar is exact opposite, which is 450 by 1200, which is 0.375. So when you add both of them, you will end up with the same 1.00. Right? So that's the idea behind the value complementary events. Next. The next one is independent event. So what are independent events? So independent events are hard to explain, but think of it this way. These are events that are independent of each other but can cause an event that might be dependent on the independent events. So an example of this would be to think about hypertension. Let's say we have two parents here that are, so both are hypertensive. Then there is a chance that, remember that the father does not have anything to do with mother's hypertension, and mother's hypertension does not have anything to do with father's hypertension. So each are not related to each other, but the offspring that both of them conceive might have hypertension due to the fact that both have hypertension. So for example, our way of thinking about it using science is to think about it as a genetic makeup. So the same thing happens here when you talk about independent events. So what are independent events is when you have two events A and B, and the intersection of these events is the multiple of each of these probability of each of these events. We call these the independent events. So this is the main condition that the two events have to satisfy for them to be called an independent event. So if you want to compute the probability of two or several events occurring simultaneously, and if the events are independent, so then we can use the multiplication law of probability. So what is the multiplication law here? So multiplication law says that the intersection of all the events is the multiple of the probabilities of each of these events. So that's the idea behind the probability. Now let's go into the next one. So let's take a simple example here. So let's consider A as the probability of having the mother's blood pressure greater than 95 and the probability of the father having a diastolic blood pressure greater than or equal to 95. So here the probability of the mother's hypertension is 0.1, the probability of father's hypertension is 0.2 in a given set of data. Then the offspring's value of probability of A intersection B is the multiple of both, and that will be 0.1 times 0.2 is 0.02. For example, if there are 10% of parents who are hypertensive and 20% of fathers who are hypertensive, then the offspring has a 2% chance of being hypertensive. So that's the idea behind the topic of blood pressure. So let's come back to dependent events. If two events are not independent, we call them dependent events. Where the multiple is not equal to the intersection value, then those are called dependent events. So all common events outside the realm of independent events are dependent events. So for example, let's say mother's blood pressure is greater than or equal to 95 and firstborn blood pressure is greater than or equal to 80, then these two are related to each other. So then their events would be dependent of each other, meaning that the mother has a dependency on the child having the hypertension. Because she has hypertension, there is a chance that the child has also hypertension. So these events are generally said to be dependent events. Now let's come to the addition law of probability. So I have told you that when you have two events that are not mutually exclusive, and if they are not mutually exclusive, then we have to know how to write the probability of having both the events, the union of both the events. So P of A, probability of A union B is given as the probability of event A plus probability of event B minus the probability of A intersection B. So one way of thinking about it is to look at both the events. So when you look at both these events, notice that in both the events there is this common section. So both have A intersection B and A intersection B, and So both have A intersection B here. So we don't want to count both of them because what we know, we only need to count one of them to calculate A union B. So what we'll do here is we'll cancel out one of them. That cancelled part is the negative part here. So that's the reason why we write negative in the formula. So where we are considering this part completely and A intersection B in the second part and writing the full part. So this entire part becomes the probability of A union B. So this is the addition law probability. So the addition law states that the probability of A union B is the probability of the event A plus the probability of event B minus the probability of A intersection B. So this is for non-mutually exclusive events. So now let's talk about each event. So first, let's say we have mutually exclusive events. So mutually exclusive events, the probability of A union B becomes probability of A plus probability of B. The reason is because in a mutually exclusive event, probability of A intersection B is 0. So that's why in a mutually exclusive event, A union B can be written as A plus B. Second, if you have independent events, so then the probability of A union B is gonna be probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A times probability of B. So when we write this, we can also write it as probability of A plus probability of B times 1 minus probability of A. So we can also write this as probability of A plus probability of B times probability of A bar. So this is probability of A union B when you have independent events. So this is one another way of writing the values. Now let's come to the next one. So where we are basically summarizing everything so that we have with addition law, right? So if you have mutually exclusive, then we have A plus B. Independent, then we replace A intersection B with A times B and we write the final formula. Now if you have three events, then it's going to be A plus B plus C minus A intersection B minus A intersection C minus B intersection C plus A intersection B intersection C. So this is a generalized formula, so you don't need to remember this formula per se. Just know that we can also write the addition law for more than two events. So let's take an example here. So let A be the event where the mother's blood pressure is greater than or equal to 95. B is where father's blood pressure is greater than or equal to 95. So probability of A is 0.1 and probability of B is 0.2. Notice that both blood pressures are independent of each other. So these are independent events. So because these are, so assume that A and B are independent events. So they have given you that. So suppose there is a hypotensive household defined in one where either the mother or father is hypertensive with hypertension defined for both mother and father. So what is the probability of hypertensive household? So where they are combined together. So they are asking you for probability of A union B. So that becomes probability of A plus probability of B times 1 minus probability of A. So that becomes 0.1 plus 0.2 times 1 minus 0.1. So the final answer gives you 0.28. So there is 28% of households will be hypertensive if if both mother and father have hypertension, then this is the union that you end up with. Let's take another example before we did not do this problem before. So let's take another example here. So here we have a problem. So here they are asking you to find what is the probability that the person will be an early age or will have no family history of mood disorders or both. So remember, whenever you use or, it means union, right? So they are asking you E or A. So let me solve it separately. So let's take this problem where they are asking you for E or A. E or A is E union A. So we know from the formula we write probability of E plus probability of A minus the probability of A intersection A. So we need probability of E. So probability of E is, the total number of E is 141 divided by 380. So 141 by 380 plus probability of A is negative. So the total negative is 63. So we have 63 by 380 minus probability of A intersection A is E and A combined is 28. So we write minus 28 by 380. So you have 318. So that's going to be 141 plus 63 minus 28. So you have 141 plus 63 minus 28. So that gives you a value of 176 by 318. So when you calculate the actual value, that's 55.3% or 0.553. So this is the probability of A union A. Alright, so which means that out of all the values, so there is a 55.3% chance that a given patient that you choose randomly is both early and has a negative family history of mood disorders. So this is the idea behind how to calculate unions when you have a combined table like this. So this is a good table that can show multiple values here. So now try using the same table and try finding the probability that the person will be having no family history of mood disorders. So find the probability of A union C, find probability of A, probability of E union C, probability of L union E, and probability of L union D. Right, so try each of them. So for hints, I can give you the first one, A union C. Notice that A and C are mutually exclusive because they do not have any intersection values. In the same way, E union C also they have an intersection, they are not mutually exclusive. L and E are mutually exclusive because they are separate from each other. And L union D, these are events that are separate, they are not mutually exclusive. So the first one and the third one are mutually exclusive, so the rest of them are not mutually exclusive. So try using this as a pattern and try to find each of these values. So remember the formula. The common formula is probability of A union B is probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A intersection B. So pause the video right here and try to solve these 4 problems.